Hey everybody. Who's in the chat right now? Who joined early? So I was going off this latest copy here. I'm looking over the track work I did last time, and I'm still confused by the layout underneath here because there's some switch action going down under here that is not very obvious. So for instance, I've been looking at this track chart. So it shows track number 1 through the lower level has no switches all the way up until it joins this ladder that goes across. So if I'm looking at the game here, I'm thinking that's this track right here, this bottommost track. It's got no switches or anything until it hits the ladder here and goes across. Only problem is that track that I laid, this bottommost track, doesn't come out here as the bottommost track. It comes out as track number 2. Hey Harrison, thanks for joining. I'll give people another minute or so to join in. Yeah, see, so that's my only conundrum here. I might have to relay some of this stuff down here, because I don't. There's just too much uncertainty with how the track's curved down here, where the switches are exactly. So I'm gonna need some help from the community on that one. Because what I'm thinking is that this track right here, this bottommost one that I haven't laid. Hey, Triningcrat, nice of you to join, man. Awesome work, by the way, on that project. Keep it up. If you need any more help, let me know. So what I'm thinking is that this bottommost track will continue like this, but then at some point, like right around here, start curving to meet where this track is now. The only problem is I don't have any documentation that can prove that. And if I look at the dash cam stuff, here, if I like scroll back a bit, if I scroll back a bit and I go to here, I can't see what these tracks do, really. I mean, let's see if I can get a little bit of a glimpse. It's so hard to see. I got that massive sun glare, and then I can't see shit once I get down here. It kind of sucks. So I either have to guess, or I have to get some more pictures. But the thing is, I can relay this stuff right here. That's not really that huge of a deal. What I do want to work on is the stuff I know for certain. So what do I know for certain that I got correct so far? This bottom stuff, no. Probably not these 2 tracks. Maybe tracks 4 and 5. These right here. Let's see. I probably got those right. Isn't that the track the train is on in the video? Let me take a look. What track do I end up on? I just wait for it to pull out. So over here I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm on track 4 here at Penn. I mean, not Penn, 30th Street. There's so many stations named Penn Station. Yeah, it says right here, track 4. Excellent. So if I know that I'm on track 4, I can follow the video and see if I got track 4 correct. So track 4 just switches off to the left here, and then follows it all the way down. I think that's what I have in the game. So it comes off right here, switches, and follows this track all the way all the way down. Alright, so that proves that I have the other tracks wrong down here. Because right here is track 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So I'm going to use track 4 as my reference track, because I know that I have that one correct. I can redo some of this other crap later. So now that I got a reference track, I can continue laying it. I'm just going to worry about track 4 and how it curves through all the way over here to the river tracks and continues on to New York Penn. It's my only concern right now, is just get a nice reference track set. Alright, let's take a look at the chat real quick. Hey, Metro North Foamer. Why does this area seem familiar? I've been working here for a while now. It's Philadelphia 30th Street Station. Hey, Evan. Thanks for joining, man. Oh, you're at the doctor's right now? That's fine. Yeah, take your time. Join whenever. Hope everything's alright. Cool. So let's get this started. Not going to use a mainline preset. Probably a freight preset. Ooh. Where does this track start curving? Let's look at the video. It starts curving as it comes out of the overhang there. So let me cut this back a little bit. Oh yeah, that's not even curving tight enough, so I'm gonna have to use the yard preset. Yeah, this was the original route that they had made. I forget when this route was made. By Dovetail Games, or 2012, I think, something like that. Anyway, let's get this reference track started. I don't have any track documentation for this, so I'm just going strictly by eye and video. Yeah, route building can be fun, but it can also be a pain in the ass. It's a lot more fun with Train Sim World. I want to show you guys the Train Sim World editor sometime. Alright. So I want to try to mimic some of the weird quirks with this track too. So after this switch here, it looks like it does a little weird curve to the left. I want to confirm that in the video. Ah, so it does. Right after the switch, it does do another little curve to the left. So let's get this first curve done. I think I gotta either start this earlier or curve it a little more. So the radius was 310. Maybe I'll bring that down to 300. .302, let's give that a try. That's a little bit too much. Let's try 305 perhaps. Just want to get it to turn out right before the switch, because I think if I look at the video, the curve will end before the switch, I think. Oh, it's like just before the frog. Okay. That's gonna be tough. I think I'm getting it. Like right there is perfect. Let's remember that length, 160. Oh, come on out. Oh yeah. That's beautiful. And then I'll take it right after the switch. Can't though. I kind of have to start it right here. Kind of sucks. But that's okay. We'll make it work. You can have switches over eased curves. It's not like we're super elevating this anyway. It's such low speed. Where did I obtain that cabaret video? People keep asking that, and all I can say is from a friend. I can't give any more details than that. Just know that I am using it responsibly. And you guys get to see it. I mean, with some of the identifiable marks removed. Alright, so now we gotta get this to turn out properly. And then continue straight all the way down to the next curve. So this is gonna be our reference track for the main line continuing north. Or in this case, I think, doesn't the direction switch to east at Philly? Alright, so 25.3. Ooh, very close. Very, very close. A little bit too long, though. So 25.3, I'm gonna cut that back a little bit. So instead of 25.3, maybe I do like 24.4. There we go. Maybe even a little bit less, 24.2. Then we're gonna have to do a merge trick. Because I think these tracks stay parallel, at least for a little while. 24.1, yeah, that's fine. That should line up nicely down here. I don't know where the next curve is. Let's look at the video. Harrison, was that question directed towards me? Do I sell my roots? I work with Dovetail Games sometimes on projects. Like, I did all the track work and the career scenarios for Washington to Baltimore. So I'm just trying to count these cat poles. So after the track changes to concrete ties, we've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. All right, and then we start getting into the next spiral. It's a pretty long spiral. Yeah, so this was actually, this whole project right here was built off of where I left the track off for Washington to Baltimore. So now we're actually in Philly. All right, so let's count the cat poles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we start getting into a spiral. Very shallow start to that curve, but that's fine. So now I'm going to use the offset tool. And right up to, actually, let me see. Does this track do the same behavior? No, it does not. After the curve, it continues straight. There's no other weird curvy action after the crossover here. So I'm going to do it parallel up until here. Yeah, that's about right. I don't know the parallel track distance. I'm going to assume 4.2. Ooh, it's not. It's more. 4.5? No, 4.6. Or 4.65. Okay. Okay, so that's what we got so far. And these tracks are perfectly parallel. Actually, one sec. Does this look right? Looks a little bit too offset now. That's weird. Maybe the track spacing changes a little bit. Let's see what it should be. Let me set it to what I normally would have it at, which is 4.2. And just continue laying tracks. See if everything lines up nice. Oh yeah, 4.2 lines up nicely here. shit. I'm gonna have to change... If I want to continue this, I'm gonna have to change the track rule. So, never mind. I think I have the track rule set at a lower value for the track spacing, so I'll have to change that later. Oh, I can see something right here. Like, the tracks do separate a little bit. There's a slight curve. See if I can notice it in the video. Or I could watch the video from the opposite side, coming in. Oh, it doesn't look like it curves. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with a parallel distance of 4.2. It's not a huge deal, to be honest. Okay. So now I will lay this track. So it seems like tracks 4 and 5 are the ones that directly connect to the main line of the corridor. Gotta cut this back a little bit for the curve. Actually, let me do a save really quick. Let's take a look at the chat. Metro North Foamer says, when you change the track spacing value, does it affect those who download the route? No. So the track spacing value in the track rule is just the default. So when you go to lay multiple tracks in sequence, it'll take the value from the track rule, and that's what will appear here. Any previously laid tracks that were laid with different parallel spacings retain that spacing. It doesn't change the spacing on you just because you change the track rule. Any track that's laid will stay the same. So you don't have to worry about that. Good question though. It's because it's not that way with super elevation. If you change the super elevation in the track rule, it will affect the super elevation on the entire route, even stuff that you've already done super elevation on. But track spacing is not affected by that. Okay. So we're gonna have to do the merge trick. And it looks almost like this track changes, like it's a compound curve, like it changes curvature throughout. Or maybe I just gotta start the curve earlier. AJ Diz, thank you for joining. Yeah, everything's going well. How about yourself? I will have to redo some of this stuff in the underground, which pisses me off a little bit. I don't know, I just didn't have good enough reference material to tell me what exactly is down here in the 30th Street lower level. So I am going to have to redo some of that, but it's not a big deal. Okay, that looks better. So, actually, let me pull up the other cab ride. Because the tracks do separate again here, but they are parallel for a little while. Just looking at how... Oh, so it doesn't fully straighten. It kind of looks like on the imagery that the track straightens for a little bit. Right through here. And then curves again, but no, it's retaining its curvature. It just shallows out big time after this first curve. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to fully make this curve out. Here, I'll show you how to shallow out the curve. So it looks like right about here is where it gets sharper. So by not going all the way up to the end of the purple line to complete the curve, but by ending it beforehand, you'll notice that as you get closer and closer to where you can complete the curve, the radius of curvature goes up big time. So right now we're working with a radius of curvature of 307, and it's going to shallow out considerably. We'll play around with the values. And you can kind of use the gray line going forward as a guideline. Gonna go with 1678 to start. and then I will sharpen the curve again. I want to see where this curve actually starts here. Oh, it's just right after the switch. So, to make sure that I keep the track spacing in check, I'm actually going to lay some straight track to right about here. Because as I'm making this curve here, I don't want to go too far to the right and violate that track spacing. Alright, so now I'm using the purple guideline up ahead to figure out where I'm going to start curving sharp again. And then we're going to do the merge trick. That looks good enough. 30.1. I'm going to have to remember that value. Actually, I should note this down on my phone, because it looks like this might be a lot of trial and error to get this to merge properly. Yeah, don't be afraid to take notes on your phone, or on a piece of paper, or whatever you have around. So 30.1, and then we're going to take this 39.9. Let's go with that. And then I want to lay the track straight after and see where it ends up at the end here. Ooh, that's not bad. So it ended up to the left, and it started out... No, it's not too bad. Just gonna have to adjust the value a little bit. I laid it too far. So 39.9 was too much, essentially. Might have to adjust the first value too, but let's go with 39 even. That's too little, so we're playing around with decimal points here. If I can make this second curve work, then I won't have to go back and revisit this first one. So let's try 39.6. See how that looks here. Ooh, so close. 39.7 maybe? And then we'll do the merge trick. That looks nice. And that works just fine, assuming I can get it to merge somewhere up here. Oh, so close. I want it to start curving here, and it hasn't quite merged yet. So... Oh, this is a weird one. Like, we're playing with 2 decimal points now, even though I don't have access to that. So it's between, like, 39.6 and 39.7. That sucks. I really wish there were more precision numbers available. So what you can try to do is find 39.6, and then find 39.7, and then just, like, back off just a little bit. We're talking like pixels here. Okay, so now it's starting to overlap to the right a little bit. Let's find out where, and then we can do our merge. And I want to make sure that I do not create a weld point here, because it is on a switch that is going to be installed later. Come on, snap. Okay. So I'm just going to play around with some values until I can get a nice clean merge. So I'll do 130 to start. Okay, so it's still a little bit too much to the left. So I'm going to erase that and go further. To make this easier to snap from the beginning, I'm just going to cut off this part of track, because we don't need that. Okay, 130. Let's go a little bit higher, 135, and see how that merged. It's almost perfect. I'll take it to 130.5, or 135.5, or whatever the hell it was. Just a little bit more. That's beautiful. And there's our track. So now after this point, both of these tracks are parallel and they can continue into the curve together. And that's fine, I don't mind having a weld there. Perfect. So now these tracks do their own thing, and then they come back parallel right here and continue into the station. So Metro North Foamer is saying, one of the biggest pet peeves is when you're laying track and a weld appears without doing anything to create it. Well, yeah, so with my settings down here in the bottom left, if you mirror these settings exactly, you don't follow network, you don't snap to track, you don't snap to terrain or do any of that stuff, you can lay straight track for 1,000 meters before there's an automatic weld created. You can use that to your advantage to create welds where you want them. Oh, and another thing. Let's say at the end of this curve right here, I wanted there to be a weld. Here, I'll just put a weld here. From this point onward, the distance counter for the next weld gets reset. So if up to this point I had laid 700 meters of track, if I had continued laying another 300 meters of track, I'd hit that 1,000, it would automatically make a weld. But since I forced a weld to be made right here, it resets the counter. So now I have, from this point, another 1,000 meters before it will automatically generate a weld. If you stay on top of your track laying and you make strategic decisions on where to insert your welds, you can get all your welds in the spots that you want them, and keep them away from spots you don't want them. Like, you don't want a weld to auto-generate on a switch point, because if you try to lay a switch over a weld, it won't generate properly. So keep all that kind of stuff in mind. But I am going to remove that point for now, because I don't care if there's a weld there. I'm not super elevating any of this track, so don't need to be too tidy about it, as long as there's no welds on where switches are going to be. Okay, so these two main tracks, tracks 4 and 5, coming out of 30th Street, have been laid. They come back parallel. I can even remove this weld if I want to, but actually, let me think. Is it worth removing that weld? Am I going to super elevate this next curve? It's such low speed. I don't think I'm going to super elevate it. It might be clean to just do that anyway. Alright, so length of this track is 71.4. Actually, that's not going to work. I need to keep this that way because of the merge. Okay. I can't continue laying this way because I have to change the track rule distance. So we'll leave that as is for now. Let's look at this wooden track. It looks parallel. Yep. Curves, and then it continues straight all the way to the next curve. So let's do that one next. Looks like the spacing on this one is a little bit more than the other two, which is fine. I don't think it comes together to the point where it's the same distance as the others. It always looks a little bit further away. Plus it merges back to the main line right here anyway, so we'll just lay this one individually with its own distance value. So we'll make this, I don't know, 4.6? That looks about right. I'm just using the concrete track model right now. We'll be changing everything later on. Okay, so this continues straight all the way until past this switch. And then it starts to curve. So we're probably going to do another merge trick. But first, I'm going to get these other tracks set up to merge with this bad boy. Not going to be actually creating the switch point, because that'll come after the terrain is imported. But I can place the switch point just as a test. Let's look at how this track does its thing. It does straighten out, kinda. I don't think it straightens out all the way. Can look. As I take a sip of my tea. So what we're dealing with right now is this piece of track that juts off to the right. Alright, so it never does fully straighten out. It does shallow out as it gets to the point of switch, which is good to know. And the actual point of switch is right there. At some point, I will be turning off the easements tool to finish this off, because in order to get that level of precision, you're going to need to just do it by hand. Alright, so I think at this point, I'll turn off the easements tool and then finish this off by hand. Oh, I gotta turn on snap to track and see where this wants to terminate, because I know based on the track imagery that's the switch motor right there. So by it wanting to terminate right there, it's too far. So in order to get that closer, I need to lay this track a little bit more. So 26.7. I'll switch back the easements tool on. Ah, shit. Come on. It's glitching out on me. Oh, that's why I have to switch it to yard. Durr. Oops. Tools are glitching out on me. Yard. There we go. So 26.7 was too short. Let's try 29. Now turn off the easements tool, turn on snap to track, and see where it wants to snap. Still too far. Hey man, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Yeah, it's been a while. We should hang soon. Now that this whole COVID thing is finally dying down. Alright, so 29 was too short. Just for shits and giggles, let's try 34. Who knows, maybe that's the magic number. It still wants to take a while to snap. mind taking it a little further. If it works, it works. And it follows the map imagery. So we'll lay this a bit further. 37. Turn off easements. Snap. It's getting much closer. I want to get it to where it snaps right there, that black thing right there. That's the point of switch. Alright, fine, I'll just keep it going until it breaks. Turn easements back on. Let's take it 40 this time. Oh, it's because it starts curving again, that's why. That's why I gotta take it further. It's getting closer. Alright, let's speed this up. I keep underestimating the value. Let's do 46. There we go. Oh, but it didn't snap. Okay, so 46.2 is a little too much. Just slice off a little bit. I want that to snap on its own. There we go. So, that's our switch point now. I mean, it's pretty damn close to that black line. I'm not gonna fret about that. So there we go. We got an east curve and a switch terminating on it. And that's all nice. But what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm not making switch points because we need to make sure that the terrain is in place before we do that. The reason why is for every switch point you have, it creates another weld point to adjust the gradient. And it splits it into like 3 parts. So if I pick this gradient point up, it's not going to lift every piece of track connected to that switch and the switch itself. It's just going to lift up a piece of it. So you want to do the switches after your track elevations are already set to save yourself some time. Alright. So I'm just removing that last little piece and I'll leave it like that. Because if we just, when we're done, just boom, connect it and it's good. Oh yeah, I remember that night. That was a good night. That was a while ago, man. Time is flying. 2019, day before Thanksgiving. Damn. That was right after I got back from deployment, right? I think that was after I came back from my tour. Okay. So that track's done. Now we're gonna lay track, what is this? 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah. 7. And then we're gonna have to merge trick it. Are these tracks parallel at all? They are, up to a point. I could just mirror the curvature. I could, fuck it, I'm just gonna do its own thing. Turn easements back on. I need to look at the video to see if this track changes curvature at all. The one that I'm about to lay. Oh, that is good to know that it is straight after that curve. Ah, you can't tell. Can't tell if it changes curvature from here. I want to try to get it so it stays a constant rate of curvature throughout. But I don't know if I can. Let me do my best to mirror how this other curve is done. A lot of this is just guesswork because I don't have the track values for all these curves. You know? Jeez. No, that ain't right at all. Alright, I'm just gonna wing this one. It looks like it does shallow out though, to be fair. Because it does become straight for like a brief moment. So right about here, even that may be too much. I'll start shallowing it out. That looks good. And then I gotta get it to come out and go straight very, very briefly. It actually looks like almost like it doesn't curve. I mean, like it does curve slightly. But now I can clearly see from the video that it does go straight very briefly. We'll find out. Okay, so straight. Actually, I didn't curve that enough. 65.8. Do 66.2. Or 66.3, whatever. Good, that lines up nicely. Then I'll start the next curve here. I'm gonna have to make sure there's no weld that gets put here because I don't want to weld on the switch point here. I got a switch point. So now we got merge trick again. And where does this curve end? Like right after that switch right there. Okay. I can do that. Got no idea if this is going to be right. As a reference, I'm just going to lay this straight piece a bit to make sure I'm maintaining proper track spacing throughout. Right after there, I'm going to mark that. I'm just going to mark where I want the track to start resuming straight again. Approximately. 30.8. Ooh, that's not enough at all. It's going way off to the right. So I'm gonna go higher with that. $35 even. Let's try that. Even that's going off to the right. Based on the yellow guideline, it's going way off to the right. It's fine. So let's try 40. Now that's going off to the left. So it's between 35 and 40 is what I need this curve to be in order to make it come on out properly. So we'll start in the middle, 37.5. Nope. So that's too much. It's between 35 and 37.5. Just narrowing it down. You'll see how it comes out in the end, though. It's gonna be nice. So let's do 36.4. So at some point, like right down here, it's gonna merge. Nope. Not enough. It's not curving. It's not going enough to the right here at this point. I want it to be further off to the right at this point. So what that means is that I need to increase this bit of straight track to go a bit further before I start the curve. And I gotta remember that length of curve, 16.1. So I'm gonna make this 9 and the other thing 16.1. It's a lot of numbers to remember. Alright, so 9 into 16.1. Now let's do the same thing. 36.5. Bring it out. Okay, same thing. It's not coming. I want it to start. This rail right here, I need it to be as close to this rail as possible coming out of the curve. So there's two ways to do that. Either make a curve right here that's less sharp, or do the same sharpness of the curve and just increase the tangent going into the curve, you know? I like the curve value, so I'm going to increase the tangent. I'm just going to do it in increments of, well, I'll just do 1.5 meters. And then back into that curve of length 16.1. And that should look a lot closer when I turn this out. So you're going to get a nice look. See how close that is now? Because I increased the tangent by 1.5 meters. Able to get closer. With the same curve is there. But I want to get it a little bit closer. I'd love to have it merge right here. And that would be my merge trick. So we're going to have to increase this another meter, I'd say. Not everybody has patience to do this kind of stuff. A lot of people will get too frustrated. You just gotta relax and just figure out the values. Alright, so 16.1. Now we should be looking real nice. So I'll do 38 to start. Oh yeah, look at that. That's almost perfect to start with. And then it goes off to the left. So I made the curve too long. I'm going to keep all this other stuff because we're almost at that perfect sweet spot. So 38 was too long. Let's do 36. Ooh, it actually merged right there on the spot for me. And even that was a little bit too far? It's hard to tell. Huh. So it starts out too far wide, and that only means one thing. The tangent was just too long. So instead of 11.5, do 11.4 instead. Slice off Actually, nah, I can't do that. I gotta relay it. Ooh, train's going by. Sounds like an Acela. 11.4. Go into that curve again with a length of 16.1. And then we'll do that same curve we just did. What did we do? 36. Come on out. It welded for me. And you can see that it's still overlapping to the right a little bit. So that just means the tangent's too long. I'll take it down to 11.2 this time. So this is the kind of precision you gotta get if you don't want any crazy bumps and shit. I don't know why the track just did that, but it's fine, I can fix that later. So what was I gonna do? 11.2. Oh, hey Javon. Thanks for joining, man. Says, keep up the good work, Brandon. Loving the master technique of you putting the rails together. I'm glad you enjoy it, man. It's very time consuming, but no, it's not that bad. Alright, so 11.2. That same curve with the length of 16.1. We'll take this 36 meters again. Come on out. Oh my god, it is so close. Will this merge down here for me? Now it's overlapping. Okay, so it's gonna merge like right here. Actually, I got a feeling that this is going to go too far to the right if I kept laying straight. Like if I kept going straight here, yeah, see it too far to the right. Here, let me get this rejoined. Okay. So 36. If it was going off to the right, that means 36 was too short. Let's do 37. I know, I'm very meticulous about this. So how is this going to end up here? Like right on the money, pretty much. So now let's find a spot where that overlaps perfectly and then just merge. Oops. Let me just cut this off to make it easier to snap. And we'll just start playing with values and get this to merge. So let's start with 20. It's still hanging off to the left. Does it ever come back to the right? It does. So there is a point, maybe about halfway down, where it does. Come on, let me select this piece of track. Crap. Why is it doing that to me? Alright, there we go. Metro North Foamer says, personally, I don't have the stomach for writing Lua. Yeah, nobody does. Lua sucks, man. It's powerful, though. Churning-Krat's getting good with it, I think. Alright, so let's try 64. Let's see how that looks. Still overlapping to the left a little bit, so we're going to take it a bit further. Let's do 100 even. See, now that's pretty much perfect. Awesome. And I'll say that's it, but a lot went into that. Alright, so now these 3 tracks are parallel, continuing into this next curve. Although this track right here is offset a little bit more, so you can't lay all 3 in sequence. You'll have to lay these 2 mainline ones and then this one individually. But it's really not that big of a deal. Alright. Let's get rid of this billboard. So this is all part of setting the stage for everything to come together later on. And making good progress. I'm still kind of pissed off about the lower level of 30th Street and how I can't see the switches and what the tracks are doing down there. I need you guys to send me reference material. Not what Pixelade sent me for over here underneath these bridges, not that, but rather for how track 1, this bad boy right here, how this behaves underneath. I know that at some point, like right here, it starts curving off to the right and rejoining one of these tracks. I just don't know where and like how, you know? So I need reference material for down there. Whether it's a video recording on track number 1 on the platform or something. I don't have any reference material for that area. So anything is appreciated, guys. Cool. So tracks 4, 5, 6, and 7 are completed. I don't want to do anything with these 3 tracks yet because I feel like there's going to be a redesign of these 3 tracks. Everything here onward I'm okay with, but until I get that reference material, I'm not going to touch this and subsequently not touch this right here. This stuff is easy to do. Once I get everything situated underneath the lower level, then I can create these other 3 pieces. They're not vital for the time being, so I'm fine omitting them for now. How long's the stream been going for so far? 1 hour. Nice. All right, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go on to track 8. Much more of the same thing. It rejoins here. I don't think it ever truly becomes a straight piece of track, but rather just shallows out a lot. So what I'm going to do first is mark out the point of switch. So that's right here. And that's going to be where I'm aiming for everything to end up. Right here. Great. So let's lay this curve. Again, I don't have any reference documentation for these tracks, so I'm doing this strictly by eye. Which works out a lot of the time. You just got to use these really skinny purple and gray guidelines for the easements tool. I hate that they're so skinny. I wish you guys could see them better. Hopefully you guys can see them. I know the gray one is like impossible to see. But trust that I can kind of see it. Okay. Let's go with that. Doesn't curve enough. See how it's kind of... The track is to the left of the guideline. I want to get that to curve sooner. Which likely means I cut back this tangent just a little bit. Let's give that a shot. Much better. Okay, and then it does shallow out considerably. I'm wondering, does it get straight? It might. Can I reference the video to see? I don't think so. No, I can't see it from here. Alright, maybe I can see it here. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's so hard to tell. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that it does not straighten out completely. But that it rather just shallows out considerably. But I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit to get this the way I want. Oh, that actually looks pretty good. You'll see in a moment. See that? But now it's curving too much. Cut this back a little bit more. It's tough. It's like it shallows out and then it sharpens again. I wonder how old these alignments actually are, you know? Like how long the tracks have been aligned this way and they haven't been changed. Alright, so I'll bring that to right here and then I will sharpen it again. Or did I already make it too sharp? Maybe I did make it too sharp. So 27 is too far. Damn. Let's do 26. Nope. I mean, it's good up to this point. Let's cut that back a bit. It's ending up curving too far to the left. Alright, no, that ain't working. That's making it even worse. Oh, because I need to make it longer. That's why it's screwing up. The longer I make it, the more shallow it becomes. Durr. I'm a dummy. Oop, there goes another train. Alright, so 29.4 is a little bit too shallow. Just snip off a little bit. That should look a lot better. Oh yeah, much better. That bench is almost invisible. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now is where I'm going to play around with how long this piece of track is, so I can finish off and connect exactly where that bench is. So let's start with 60. Turn off easements, turn on the snap to track. Ooh, nasty. So that means 60's too far. I need to cut off a bit. So it'll take more track in order for it to complete. And there's no guarantee that it'll... Ooh, beautiful. That's really nice. Let's just see what we can do to get it a little bit closer. I want to remember this value though, 52.1. Actually, I could take a copy of this track. Just throw it over there for reference. So in case this piece of track right here that I'm currently working with gets screwed up, I can just click snap and get back to where I was nice and easy. Alright, so I need to cut off a little bit more of this to get a little bit more distance out of it. Almost there. Let me cut off a bit more. Oh, come on. If that snapped, that would have been beautiful. Why did that not snap? I mean, it did. It just didn't generate a switch point. It's so bizarre. There we go. Look at that. That's beautiful. Now, I need to make sure that it's okay for me to have a weld point there in the future. And it is, because that's the only switch point in the area. There's nothing else crossing over it. Excellent. So I'm going to undo that last bit, because we're not going to leave the switches terminated there. This is fine having the weld in the middle of the curve like that. There's nothing special going on there. We're not super elevating these curves, so I don't really care where the welds are here. I'll just let them auto-generate, as long as they're not doing weird stuff. Great, so whenever we go to create the switches, we'll just do what we just did and lay that last bit of track, and it will snap right there nicely. Perfect. We are done with that track. Take a sip of my water. Alright. Next track. I brought it up earlier, but does anybody have any reference material that you know of? Like videos, photos, on the platforms for like tracks 1, 2, and 3 at 30th Street? I'm gonna need that stuff. I want to look at it before... I do have next week off, right? Next weekend off? I do. Oh, that's Easter weekend. Can't guarantee I'll do a stream that weekend. I don't know what the family's doing for Easter Sunday. We'll see. I'd like to be prepared to do something next week, though, because the following weekend I have a military obligation, so... Okay. So now you have this switch point, and then this track that branches off and connects to this other track. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll create that piece of track later once we have the terrain in place. But I am going to start track 9. Oops, gotta turn the easements tool back on. Actually, before I do this, let's just look at this curve really quick. Alright, starts out not sharp, but I don't know, does that straighten completely? I don't know. I'm gonna say no, that it doesn't straighten completely. And it just, like everything else, just gets really shallow. It's fine, I can create switch points on any curve, so... Alright, I gotta start this a little bit further up. Alright, so I'll get it to like right about here, and then it shallows out. And and then it sharpens again. Complicated. This one looks like it straightens. I think I laid this too long though. Yeah, let me relay that. It's not curving sharp enough. It sharpens again, and then it gets really shallow again, and then it... It's like, what a mess. I think I may have gotten it, though. Almost, anyway. I just didn't get this last bit quite sharp enough. 37... Might have to take that a little higher. No, a little bit lower to make it sharper, that's right. Keep forgetting that. 36.5 perhaps? Oh, that looks better. That's like dead center now. Making sure no weird welds get generated. So far, so good. Alright, and this... I'm trying to think. So you got... After this track, it kind of continues straight and then goes to a switch here. So I think I'm just going to get it so it continues straight up until where it curves at the switch point. And that's where I'll leave this track off. So it's just a matter of getting this distance correct. Start with 107.9. And that is a little bit too little. Got to make it curve a little bit more so it goes a bit more to the left. So let's do 108.5. Almost got it first try though. It's always a good feeling. Aha! Wunderbar. And I will leave that like that. So then when I create this other piece of track that branches off right here, then you can rejoin. Ooh, this might be problematic. Or maybe not. I'm looking at the weld. I don't think that weld will get in the way. But I can avoid that weld entirely. There was a trick I showed you guys earlier. Whereas if you create another weld point somewhere else, that counter resets, the distance counter to the next weld. So I place a weld in a place where I know it's going to be fine, right there. Then I can delete this last piece of track I laid, and then I can relay it up to this point, and there should be no weld auto-generated there now. See? No weld. It's using welds to your advantage. You do not want to weld on a switch point. It's a big mistake that a lot of people make. Alright, wonderful. So I've set the stage for these other tracks going this way to be laid for the most part. I do want to get track 10 laid up to where it's going to merge right here. So this is going to be another case where we have a crossover, or a switch point rather, on a curve, on an eased curve. Those are always fun to merge. Not. So let's do that, I guess. That'll be a good lesson. Pretty much with... If you can dedicate a lot of patience and time to any bit of track laying, you can get anything to happen pretty much. So on any curve, whether it's an eased curve, doesn't matter. You can make any track snap to that if you're persistent enough. And I'm not talking about it like naturally snapping. I'm talking about you're manually placing it and making sure it's centered over that track, left clicking and hoping that you get a junction to be formed. That's the kind of luck we're talking about. I had to do some of that stuff with Washington to Baltimore. Crossovers, snapping and stuff on eased curves, it's not fun. But it's a good feeling when you get it done. Okay, so this shallows out. And then it stays that shallow. One sec, I gotta mark out the point of switch with a barrel or something. Who knows, you guys might be able to see what I was just talking about. But hopefully I can get it to snap nicely. That'd be the better option. Okay. So then, where does it start curving more sharp? Right about here. Let's try that. So then I turn off easements, turn on snap to track. Oh, look at that. It snapped for me. And right where I wanted it. Woohoo, talk about dumb shit luck. Goddamn. That's beautiful. It truly is. Wow. Great. Didn't have to do any fancy footwork. Just one click. Great. Let's just leave that like that. We'll join it when we're ready. Damn. I even impress myself sometimes. I started the stream with a hot cup of tea. It's almost done, but it's all cold now. It's kind of disappointing. To make more tea after. Okay. So that track's done. Let's do track 11, our final track for now, until I can get that reference material, review it, fix all the crap down here, and then make all this other stuff. But, we're getting there, guys. We're not even at the truly messy stuff yet. I gotta make the yard and the upper level and all this other junk. Not all that's like pressing at the time being, because we can make quick drives in some scenarios and stuff just with this track that I've already laid. Once we do the switches, of course. So all this secondary trackage isn't mission critical per se. Damn. This track looks a little off. I mean, it looks like it's a constant radius, and then it really shallows out right about here. Straighten, definitely go straight for a little bit. Alright, let me readjust where it starts to curve, though. Let me have it start to curve right about there. It doesn't look like a constant radius, actually. It looks like it does shallow out. Like, even before this other shallowing out. Oh, that's fine. And then I can get it to straighten. 50.7. Let's try that. Ooh, not enough. I need more length on that in order to make it go to the left. Let's do 60. Too much. About 58. .58's a little too much. Let's do 57.5. I mean, it was really close. I'm not going to worry about that little curve right there. It's probably just a little map irregularity anyway. Okay, and then got another curve right here that I'm lining up. That looks about right. Never mind, that is not right. This might just be a regular horizontal curve and not even an eased curve, but I'm going to make it eased anyway. Just because I have the capability to. So this track is going to continue straight all the way through the ladder and then all the way to right about here. Let me mark that. At least it appears that it's going to be straight all the way to about this point. So I'm going to try my best to have it do that. It'll make things cleaner and easier to merge down the road if it is straight. Because there's going to be a lot of tracks going over that. Ooh, another train. Northeast Regional, it sounds like. Actually, right here, it looks like it curves to the left a little bit more. There is a bit of a correction. So we'll replicate that, because that's more apparent. But let's get this laid. 34.3. Oh, that's beautiful. Really nice, actually. Great. Let's see, should I just make a weld here? I don't want it to bite me in the ass and have the weld generate on the switches. I guess, here's what I could do. And this is just more strategy. Remember when I said that every weld point is going to come with its own gradient adjustment point? Pretty much. Not all of them. See, like, this one didn't generate with one, this one did. As a general rule of thumb, expect every weld point to come with its own gradient adjustment point. So if I keep all the gradient adjustment points around the same area, kind of like all these are clustered in the same area, you can kind of make all these the same height. If you have them all spread out and everything, you have to kind of get heights for every little different area. If you can keep them all within the same area, then you can pretty much assume that they're going to be right around the same height, and it just makes it easier. So what I'm going to do is, because these other two weld points are already clustered over here, I'm just going to create a weld point right here, which is pretty damn close to these others right here. And that just makes it easier because it's going to be right around the same height. And then I don't have to worry about a weld point getting auto-generated as I go over these switches. Just another thing to keep in the back of your mind. Okay, so this is the little adjustment that I have to make in order to get this to go straight all the way down to that sign that says nothing but oranges. Okay. Nothing but oranges, I guess. Alright, 20.4. Not enough. I need it to curve more to the left. In order to do that, I need a longer curve. And because I'm doing all these with easements, it's going to ride really smooth. That's the goal too. We want nice ride quality. 22.5. Yay! Look at that. Perfect. All the way to nothing but oranges. And actually continues straight all the way down here. Which is really nice. Perfect. I guess I'll just leave this off right there. And that's nice and straight going across all these other tracks. That should merge beautifully. And we can test this out right now. Let me do a save, just in case something screws up. So when you have tracks going over other tracks, and you want them to merge, sometimes the angle at which the two tracks or multiple tracks are overlapping affects how everything generates. So I'll show you what I mean. So we have this piece of straight track going all the way across, going over two tracks. It's this one right here. At this point, it's continuing, excuse me, that's a tough word, over these two tracks, and then it's going to create crossovers there. So I'm going to just make that straight track right now. Or try to make that straight track. Just got to adjust that angle a little bit. It's too much. Come on, nice fine little adjustment. There we go. Much better. So, if I turn off the maps overlay, you'll see that I have this straight piece of track intersecting that one and this one. So if I press the weld tool, and then I go to generate the crossover, you can see it looks nice. And I think you can generate it again to make it, I think that's what these are. What are those called? Slips? Slip switches or whatever? Double slip? I forget what it's called. And it generates properly. So that's all that test was for, just to make sure that at that angle, the tracks are going to generate properly, like this. I ran into cases in Washington Terminal when I was doing Washington to Baltimore track laying, where I had to adjust the angle that these straight ladder tracks were at in order for the crossover to generate properly. It didn't generate nicely like this. There were cuts and jagged pieces and everything. It was a complete shit show. Alright, let's try this one. And then we'll delete this track. Beautiful. That generates nicely. So, because it generates nicely, I can actually leave that track there if it's in a satisfactory position. It looks satisfactory to me. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. Let's get it set up so I can easily make that switch point too. So we'll mark the point of switch, which should be right there at that black piece. Just mark it. And I will turn off easements to complete that curve. Turn on snap to track. Alright, so you're seeing that it wants to generate further past the bench, which means this straight track is not long enough. So I need to add a bit of a tangent to it. 4 meters we'll start out with. Still going way past the bench. So I'm going to cut off that 4 meter bit. And I'll make it 8 meters instead. Perfect. Right at the bench. So there we go. Pretty much right at the bench. Excellent. So I'll leave that like that. I don't have to do anything fancy here. This track will actually be curving a little bit because it doesn't continue straight here. If you see, it does not continue straight. It has to curve off to the left a bit. So we'll make that adjustment later on. I'm not going to do these tracks today. What I can do is get this other ladder track laid. So what it is going to be is literally, it should be anyway, a direct copy and paste of this one. Copy and paste, double click, make the height 0.5 because that's what all the other tracks are. Half a meter above terrain level. Hey Mike, thanks for joining, man. I'm doing well, how about yourself? Just gonna have to turn this on and get everything oriented right. Okay, that looks good. Just make sure down here it continues to look good. Yep, and it does. Perfect. I mean, close enough. It's not exactly perfect, but just a couple inches off is fine. And at this end, it continues down right there, just fine. Perfect. So I'm going to save, and then I'm going to do the same test, seeing if all the weld points generate properly, or the crossovers generate properly. Let's save. Does anybody have any questions on this whole process? Or is it pretty clear? I think I do things repetitively enough and slow enough and in-depth enough for it to be easily understandable, but still, I feel obliged to ask. Okay, so I don't know if this one generated properly. Unless... Here, let me look at the track over here. Are you supposed to be able to go from that track? Yes, you are, and it didn't generate that. Okay, that's not good. Alright, might have to adjust the angle of this whole thing. Let's take a look at this one. Oh yeah, look, see, it's not happy right now. For some reason. Alright, I'm gonna have to adjust the angle of this. I don't know if it wants a wider angle to work with, or what. But you can see that it's not very pleased. So starting from this end, first off, I need to adjust the angle. Starting from this end. So I know that this piece is in a great spot. So by double clicking on this piece to open up the properties, you are essentially choosing this as a pivot point. All right. Here, let me show you what I'm trying to do, and then I'll look at the chat. So you can see here that the guidelines for this track I'm going to lay is off to the left. So we need to angle this piece we're laying to the right very, very slightly. Let me look at the chat. Never thought of the angle test that I'm doing right now, yeah. Since you had trouble making Hall interlocking. Hall interlocking, that's the one outside Jamaica Station, right? On Long Island Railroad? Right, Metro North Homer? That's a complicated interlocking, and so is J. Alright, so by double-clicking this point that I know is good, I'm using it as my pivot point. And the angle is right here, 34.54. So by adjusting this value, let's just... Actually, let me just copy this value first in case I forget it. I'm sure you guys will remind me of the number in case I do. it's kind of weird how you can change the number, press enter. Oh, see, it turned to the left. So I need to decrease the number. I'll change it to 34.5. And then left click. Press enter, and then left click on the track. And you can see it turned very slightly to the right. So now, if I lay this track, you can see that now it happens to be right on the dot. Look at that. Funny how that works out. That was not pre-planned. So now let's do the angle test. Ah, shit. First off, this one's not even coming up with one. It could be because I did not lay enough straight track. It didn't have enough straight track to work with to make the crossover. Let's see if that works. Ah, damn it. Okay, so what the issue likely is, it's not meeting some kind of tolerance. I think the angle has to be more of an angle. Let's check out this one. This one generates not fine. It does like part of the slip switch. It's not a double slip. Ugh. I hate to say it, but we might have to do some custom crossovers, like hand-laid stuff, later on. This one generated fine. No problems with this one. Okay. So, what we can do is sacrifice a little bit of realism and increase the angle here. So by increasing the angle, I mean this angle right here, this little triangle that these two tracks intersecting is making, need to make that more. And by that, I mean like this. Like that. Making it a wider angle. But that would sacrifice some realism, unfortunately. But it may be needed in order to make this work. So, in order to even it out on both sides and not have this side be perfect and this side up here be way off to the left, I'm going to slide this bad boy off to the right, like there. Double click on the pivot point, and now I'll make that like 34.7, which will curve it off to the left. Now I will continue laying all the way down, and I want that to be hanging about halfway off the left side. And it is, pretty much. Alright, so you can see how it's about halfway, like half the left rail here is about halfway down the gauge of the track on both sides. So it's evened out. And that is going to give us a wider angle here. So let's see if it likes that. Kinda did. I mean, it didn't generate the second piece, though. But the second piece, I'm talking about this bit. Here, let me manually lay it. Oh, crap, my camera's going really fast. There we go. I'm talking about this bit. That bit right there. That should be generated over there. It's not doing that. And it's gotta be because of some tolerance. It's not meeting some angle. So I can try increasing that angle a little bit more. I don't want to get too far off though, because then you start getting into the unrealistic territory. Change this to 37.75. That'll curve it off to the left a little bit more. Oops. One sec. Had to turn that off in order to lay a straight piece of track instead. So this is hanging off a little bit. Let's try it now. I don't think it's going to work. And you can't really do this manually unless I want to see if this will work. I'm very interested to see if this will work. Oh, first let me generate this, and I want to mark where the point of switch is. It's like right here. Alright, I'm just going to remember that point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to manually place a curve between here and there. But it's not going to snap. Oh, it did create a junction though, that's kind of funny. Basically what I'm trying to do is create this part manually and then use the tool to have it finish it off. I don't know if it'll let me do that though. Alright, so we got that piece. Now let me see if it'll let me do the other bit. Ha ha ha! Workarounds. It's not pretty. But it technically works. It's not pretty at all. It's ugly. It's disgusting, actually. It's grotesque. But, yeah. Oh, hey Pixelade. Nice of you to join, man. Yeah, I posted in the Facebook group. So you should have been notified that way. Yeah, we'll contend with this later on. What I do want to do in the interim, though, is I want to reduce the amount of error on this straight bit of track, because we purposely introduced error in order to increase that angle. I want to see how far I can take it before it just won't even generate anything here at all. So let me drag that right here, and I'm going to change this pivot point to be at 34.65. Let's try that. Yeah, this kind of stuff is annoying to no end. Oops, forgot to turn the snap to track tool off again. You can't lay straight track with that. There's a little workaround with that. I forget what it is though. It's like holding shift or something. I don't remember. Alright, let's see if this generates. Okay, well. That generates, but it's hanging off to the left. So let's try to correct that even more. Just by going down here and changing the angle and just keep reducing it until we get to a point where it's not going to generate at all. Let's do 0.55. And then we'll leave it there, you know? Like at that point we'll just leave it there, and then we'll take care of all the bullshit with all this later. Alright, I want to see if it will generate anything with this. And it is. Okay. Can I press my luck and... Oops, one sec. There we go. Can I press my luck and take it a little bit lower? Can I do 0.45? Will it let me? I don't think it's gonna let me. It let me. Alright. Well, good. So that's actually really nice that we were able to leave it off there. Ooh. This one generates really ugly. Might have to modify it a little bit to make that one generate a little bit cleaner. That one generates beautifully. But that one never did have an issue. Okay. I want to make that one be able to generate cleanly later on. This is all about making things easier for us later down the road. Oops. Come on. Just widening that angle a little bit. Maybe it'll make that second one play nice. We already know we're gonna have to do some stupid shit with this one. Yay! Kinda yay. It didn't... I mean, at least it generated this... what it did pretty, you know? Kinda. I'll take it. Alright. I'm not gonna press my luck anymore with this one. Gonna leave that like it is. And save. Oh, and remove nothing but oranges. We don't need that crap anymore. Alright, let me look at the chat while this saves. Oh yeah, so you hold control when you have the snap to track tool enabled in order to lay a straight bit. Okay. I'm in the habit of just disabling snap to track in order to lay my straight bits. So, but that's a good tip to know. Mike is asking, is Train Sim World track laying more forgiving? Fuck yeah. Definitely. Things generate and snap together so much more seamlessly. In the Train Sim World editor, you can pick any single point of track, for instance. It doesn't even have to be a weld. I can like pick, hey, this point, and I can start twisting it around to create custom values of super elevation at different points of the curve, and I made a route in Train Sim World. Can't talk about it or anything, but in detail. But yeah, every like curve has custom super elevation and everything, and it's the sloping up and down is seamless. It's so much easier to get the stuff done that you want to get done with just track laying and Train Sim World in general compared to this. This is a lot more of like forethought and cutting corners in order to avoid future problems. You don't have to worry about that as much with the Train Sim World editor. Like Mike asked, it's more forgiving. Is it like Trains? I didn't use that editor. I've only ever used this editor and Train Sim World. Okay. I forget, did I lay this track to merge properly? Yeah, I did. I just wish they could make the Train Sim World editor public right now. They're still having issues with all that. I mean, they do have a beta public like copy that they distributed to certain people. That's the copy I got. But it's got some vulnerabilities, so they say, that make them wary of distributing it. All right. Yeah, track laying in the Train Sim World editor is a joy. It's really enjoyable. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've done. Tracks 4 through 11 have been extended east. At least I think from Philly to New York is the east-west direction. I forget. It could still be north-south. I don't know. Anyway, tracks 4 through 11 are continuing east. All of these unterminated points have been left in such a way that they'll perfectly snap to their exact intended points when we're ready. We're going to have to do some custom stuff here in order to make this, I think it's called a double slip switch. I'm not all that well versed on all my different switch types, but I think it's called a double slip. We have to do some custom stuff here to make this one work, to make this one work. This one works just fine for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, it's because these two are on curves. That's why it's not generating cleanly. These two are on curves. This one is intersecting a straight piece of track. That's the difference. everything else should be in a good position to move forward. Double slips. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Metro North. Once I get some reference material from you guys, for tracks 1, 2, and 3, I will fix all this down here, because there is some switch shenanigans that goes on down here that I need to fix. So I'll be ripping some of this up once I get that clarification, and then once this bottom level stuff is fixed, then I will add these other 3 tracks and connect them to where they're supposed to be here. That'll be trivial. Okay. Where are we at our time? 1 hour and 51. I can lay a little bit more. I was thinking 2 hours for the stream today. So I'm going to try to get as close to that as I can. Maybe I can get some of the leads done that go into this yard. What is this yard called, guys? Is this Race Street Yard? Is that what this is called? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, while I get that answer, because I'm just genuinely interested. Yeah, Race Street. Let's continue going this way. So this track curves left. This will be my reference track for all of these that eventually become parallel right here. At least they kind of appear parallel. It's really hard to tell. The imagery is all askew. Oh wait, no. It's not askew. This track actually merges right here. That's the point of switch right there. That little nub. At least it looks like they're all parallel and straight together at that point. Okay. Easements tool on. Yard preset. So yeah, we gotta curve that to the left considerably. And it starts to curve earlier than I thought. And then it starts to curve back a little bit. Again, very slightly. Man, that is really, really slight. Nope, it's got to curve more. Not that slight. Ooh, almost. I'm assuming that it's going to go completely straight all the way down to this point. So I got to curve that bad boy a little bit more. 13.5, let's take that to 15. That should get us the length we need. A little bit more. It's still hanging off to the left a little bit, which means we just need a little bit more length on this. 15.5 perhaps. There we go. It's real nice. All right, I'll stop that right there. And then in order to get these two parallel, because these two are going to be parallel continuing this way. Ooh, it just falls off nice. Yeah, they continue parallel. I'm gonna do an offset. And then I'll go down here. It's wider than 4.6. It's interesting. 5 maybe? Oh no. 5. There we go, 5 meters apart. A little bit wider track spacing than normal. Might change. Down here. They might get closer together, which is fine. We can deal with that. Let me measure that really quick. So you click on the little ruler tool up here and then try to get directly over the track you're trying to measure the distances between, and then click track center, drag, track center, release. So it goes back down to 4.55. So they do come closer together after the curve, which is fine. We can deal with that shit later on. But here they're a little bit wider apart, further apart. It looks like this track, does it? No, that's fine. I mean, it does do a little bit of a curve here, like a slight adjustment, which I can do. But do I really care to? It's like right after the point of switch, it does a little adjustment. Oh, another Acela going by. Or should I just keep it straight all the way to here? Yeah, it's just a couple inches. I'm not gonna fret about that. So now I gotta do merge trick. Now I could just do easements merge trick, or I could just do the easy way out and go with a horizontal curve. I'd prefer to do it nice and cleanly though. I mean, it wouldn't affect anything in terms of like ride quality. I mean, let's just see how it looks. Like that. Actually, that looks nice. And it was easy, you know? And you're going to be going really slow on this piece of track anyway. You're not, it's so shallow, you're not going to get a jolt of any kind, even without super elevation. Yeah, that's fine. With these slower speed yard areas, you can get away with just using horizontal curves to connect things together. You don't have to do everything with easements. I've just been doing it for most of this mainline stuff out of best practice, and just the desire to have a really smooth operating product. But for little select bits like that, that's totally acceptable. Alright. So this piece of track is straight. Let's do an offset. And I think it continues straight all the way here, which is nice. But we're gonna do an offset on this bad boy. It starts curving right, oops, why did it deselect? Right around here. A little bit further separation than the other track had. 5.6. So let's see if that maintains all the way down. And it does, a little bit. They get a little bit closer together right about here. But it's fine. We're talking about a matter of inches, sometimes fractions of an inch of error, potentially. And then finally, you can get this other track added right here next to it. Just another offset. And all these are parallel to each other, at least going down this stretch. Oops. It starts curving right here to go to the switch. A little bit different offset distance for this one as well. Oh, it's 5, not 50, 5. Ooh. Great. And that will rejoin right here. We'll leave that the way it is. This one will rejoin there. We'll leave that the way it is. Then you got a crossover here. And then these two tracks continue parallel. So that's done. I forget, are these tracks at a higher elevation? Like, is there a hill here? Or are these gradually going uphill? I don't know how it works out over here. I know that there's a lot of tracks at different heights. That's what's going to make this a little bit challenging when we get the terrain in. Because I don't have gradient track elevation data for this. I don't. So I'm going to be going strictly off of Google Earth and just personal experience, you know? Sweet. So now we have these leads going in and out of the yard. That'll be good. So maybe next stream... Well, definitely next stream at the least. We'll be fixing up lower level 30th Street. Getting these 3 tracks joined up over here to where we just finished today. And then maybe, depending on how long that takes, I don't even know. Shouldn't take that long, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Then we can start moving on to... Well, maybe I could change the track rule before the stream so I can do these. I think the parallel distance was 4.2 for these 2 tracks. Can lay this a little ways. And then we can get started on the yard. I think the yard is a pretty important piece. I'm gonna be leaving a lot of switches unterminated for the time being, but at least all the tracks will be there. Yeah, that yard should take us through the rest of the stream next week. I can't guarantee that I am going to be streaming next week. I want to try to. Oh, there goes another train. Sounded like an Acela. Lost train of thought. Streaming. Oh, Easter Sunday. So I don't know what the family is doing yet for Easter Sunday. If it was up to me, I would just stay at home because, I don't know, I'm not really religious or anything. I mean, I appreciate the significance of the holiday, and I'm happy for anybody that gets joy out of celebrating it, but yeah, if it were up to me, I'd stay home and stream. But we'll see. I'll keep you guys informed. All right, so I think this is going to round it out for today. Got quite a bit done. I'm just kind of pissed off about down here, but we'll get that fixed up. Send me reference material if you have it. Tracks 1 through 3, 30th Street, lower level. I just need to see what's going on down there. Any questions for me before I call it? I'll give it like 2 minutes. Yeah, I appreciate it, Metro North. Yes, just see what you can find. You can typically, and I'll do my own digging too. You can typically find some stuff on YouTube buried in some places, but a lot of people have like their own photos and stuff. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Photo references. Yeah, you're welcome. I enjoy doing this kind of stuff. It's pretty relaxing for me, and I like to engage with you guys and teach you guys something meaningful, because I know there are a few root developers in here. It's good to learn the proper way of doing things. It's taken me years to figure this shit out. When I started with New Haven to Boston, I didn't know what I was doing. That route was how I learned how to become a route builder, and from there I only got better and refined the technique and learned from other people too. So I'm hoping to avoid people falling into bad habits. Alright, so Mike is asking, are you possibly the Northeast Corridor 30th Street station for this? Oh, are you talking about like the 3D model? I was thinking, I don't know, do I even have the thing installed right now? Let's find out right now. Assuming I have it installed. Which pack was it in? RSC? Yeah, Northeast Corridor. Alright, so let me find the actual Philly model and orient that properly. I forget. Oh, is it in here? 30th Street Station. Okay, here we go. Station Philadelphia 30th. Okay. We'll find out right now if we're going to use this. All right, let's find out what angle we have to angle this at. 9.156. Assuming it has the same origin point. It does. 9.162. Yeah, let's just do that value. Okay. So now we just need to raise this up. Oh, wow. It's so off. Actually, no, it's not that bad. Does that look right? Yeah, I mean, it's about as good as I'm gonna get it for now. Let's look. Oh shit! It actually has the platforms already built in. Okay, which way do I move it though to make it work? Like right there? This ain't gonna work. Unless I do some scaling on it. Can I do some like x-axis scaling on it? .05. Maybe slide it over. I don't think there's any way to make this work. Let's try 1.3. No. We're gonna probably have to do a custom mashup of stuff. Like lay a retaining wall here to make this wall. Use some concrete panels to lay the ceiling. We'll make it work, you know? It's a shame because it would have been nice if this worked out. It's just none of the track spacing is proper. I mean, except for this one. This one actually looks pretty good. For these two tracks. But then it just falls apart from there. Actually, these two don't look bad either. But this one is overlapping the track. It's not gonna work. So, I think that answers your question, Mike, because I was wondering the same thing. It may be worth somebody making a custom one, but then we wouldn't be able to put that on the workshop. So we're probably just going to do our own custom mashup of existing objects. That's probably our best bet. And just get an approximate look of what 30th Street looks like. Because after all, like I said, we want this to go into the workshop, or at least that's Evan's vision. I wouldn't want to replicate the original route's track spacing because that route had so many things wrong, track just being one of them. You know? So I'd rather do it right. I don't want to make other aspects of the route suffer just to use an existing object. You know? I thought about it. So we'll do a custom mashup of objects and try to make it look alright. If it requires too much effort or we don't have the assets to make it look anywhere near correct, maybe we could have somebody make a custom 3D model, I don't know. And then say, hey, when downloading this route, you'll have to install this custom pack as well in order to make it work properly. I don't know. You can do stuff like that. It just sucks that it wouldn't be part of the base route that you get from the Steam Workshop. Is all. Just want to make it as easy on people as possible to enjoy the project. Oh, by the way, quick update. So Calvin has been continuing the track elevations from where I left off on the route in last week's stream. I think he's at like milepost 81, so he's making some good progress. He showed me the technique, and he's got the technique down really good. So expect some really high quality terrain elevations, making sure everything's smooth and all that. So he's doing a good job. Evan, I think, is still really, really busy with school and life and stuff like that. So we're keeping the project alive while he's unavailable temporarily. Things are progressing slow, but it's being done properly. So, and you guys can see that from the streams. I'm hoping pretty soon we can open it up to public testing to test out the track once more of it is sloped properly. Get some people operating on this. All right, any last minute questions? That was good that you brought that up though, Mike, about using the model. Yeah, that's right. I did do a custom mashup for Boston South Station in New Haven to Boston, so yeah, I'm sure that we can make this work. I'll wait like 30 more seconds for any last minute questions, and then I'm going to end the stream for today. Thank you everybody for being so engaged. That's part of why I do this kind of stuff. I like talking to you guys. All right. You guys know how to reach me. If you want to ask me a question outside of the stream, you can leave a comment on Facebook, message me on Facebook. There's a Discord group that you can become a member of. You can reply with a comment to this video once it gets processed. There's a multitude of ways to reach out to me if you got a question about route development or anything about this project in general. If I can answer it, I will answer it, and I'll try to help you out. So until next time, guys, I'll keep you informed about next week, whether I'm going to be streaming because of Easter Sunday. I'll let you know. And we'll go from there. I'm going to package up this route, send it back to Evan and Calvin so they can continue their stuff. And have a nice day, guys. Thank you very much for joining me.